everybody. We've got something a little bit different for you today.
All right, get out of here. No, this is my show. Give me that. So, she's right. There is something a little bit different here. Today, I am actually doing a review on the NXT Women's Championship. Now, as you probably recognize, if you watch my other videos, it looks very similar to the Men's Championship. And actually, a good portion of this video is just going to be a comparison and a contrast. Because a lot of the details about this belt are actually the same as the men's, just on a different scale or with a slight tweak. That being said, this is admittedly the last version of the NXT Women's Championship because the current version has the white strap, and in the background between the N and the X and the X and the T are the neon colors from the NXT 2.0 rebrand that they did last year. So with this one, the number one thing that I didn't know, and I probably should have checked the measurements, I don't know, it's not like it was a problem anyways, is that the NXT Women's Championship is actually smaller than the men's. For some reason, I had assumed that they were the same size because I just looked at the pictures and I'm like, it's going to be the same scale. But if you look at these, the top of these are lined up. The bottom only goes, not quite all the way down. It's not as wide. And to me, most noticeably, is that the women's main plate, well, all the women's plates, are smaller than the men's plate. So, and that actually is true for the side plates as well. These side plates, I could not take off and put on this belt or vice versa. So, the side plates for the women's belts, and that means the ones that you buy from the website for specific wrestlers, aren't interchangeable between the belts. And I find that interesting because with the men's, there's the side plates can be changed from, the main title to the North American title to the tag title, whereas the women's, you just have the women's and now the women's tag. So, now the other thing, this one I did know, but in case anybody wasn't aware, the difference here is that the women's title has the silver forefront, the silver X NXT lettering, with a gold background, whereas the men's has a gold letters with a silver background. So they did a little inverse there, just in case you never noticed. The other difference that you may have noticed is the side plates. These are not side plates that I switched out. These are still the side plates that came the day that I got them from WWE. So we have the actual NXT gold side plates on the men's, and we have the WWE logo with the black background on the women's side plate. I've said before in previous videos, I'm a much bigger fan of the NXT plates, especially because these are so gold heavy. Yes, they have the black strap, but I'd rather see a little bit more gold on the side than the blacks. So, the other similarity, or another similarity, is that it's still the same material. It's still the faux leather that you find on a lot of the WWE belts now. And as you know, probably the number one thing that I get hung up on is the material that these straps are made out of. Because faux leather is the least flexible. Polyurethane is much more flexible. And the real leather, of course, in my opinion, is the most flexible. So with this, one thing that I thought was really odd, still on the topic of the strap, is, now we've had this one for a while, so it's a little broken in. But one thing that really surprised me is I felt like this was more flexible than the men's. And I think it has something to do with the material not being as wide. Maybe the spacing's a little bit different. I haven't measured it. But right off the bat, I just felt like this one was a lot more flexible. And this is my wife's belt. I did get it for her. I didn't buy it for myself. She loves it. She'll tell you she absolutely loves it. Anybody who knows my wife realizes how much sarcasm is there. But she gets hers out less than I do. So in theory, hers is less worn than mine is. But even with me holding the non-metal strap on both belts, non-metal, the women's belt, which is used, taken out less, has that bend, whereas the men's has that bend. And that's with the metal on both ends to help weigh it down. Can't really tell you why that's the case because I don't know. But it's still a really cool belt. To be honest, I've had times where I've actually picked it up and been like, how is this nicer than mine? Maybe it's because I'm a small guy, so I like the smaller plate. Maybe it's because of the flexibility. It's probably because of the flexibility. But it's nice. It's really nice. One thing, now this probably is due to wearing. You'll notice this one's a little bit brighter. But once again, I get mine out more, so mine's probably gotten a little worn down. Probably needs a little polish. So with that, the other tiny difference is it has the word women's right there. You'll actually notice on the women's NXT tag titles, same thing. They actually have the word women's right underneath the logo. And other than that, the main plate is pretty much the same. So anyways, if you watch this video, if you have the women's belt, if you don't have the women's belt, tell me what you think. Tell me, did you know that it was a different size because you read the instructions and I didn't? Or are you like me and it was a complete and total surprise when it came? But either way, seriously, thank you for watching. Please check out my other videos. Please check out my wrestling if you'd like to. Feel free to criticize me. I criticize myself on a daily basis. And check out my Instagram. I'll add that to the link down below. So once again, thank you guys.